Okay, so my presentation is over. The postmortem distribution of MDMA and MDA from an accidental death due to MDA intoxication. So, a 29-year-old female was found kneeling face down um, in her on her bedroom floor approximately 2 hours after her last communication with anyone. Um, she was pronounced dead on the scene 40 minutes later, and approximately 18 hours later, um, an autopsy and an autopsy was performed and specimens were submitted for toxicological analysis. So, a few tests were conducted. The expanded panel test was conducted on the priority sample, which was the femoral blood. And femoral blood comes from your femur area. Electrolyte testing was also conducted by a biosensor um, analysis on the vitreous humor, which is your eye. And all other specimens were analyzed using GCMS, which we're all familiar with, gas chromatography mass spectrometry. So, pictured here is the GCMS machine, just showing what it is. We're all familiar with how that works. Okay, so the autopsy was conducted, and the findings included pulmonary edema, which is an excess of fluid in your lungs, zonal necrosis of the liver, which is cell or tissue death, so all the cells and tissue in the liver were dead, um, and approximately 25 milliliters of green material in the stomach with gastric mucosal hemorrhaging, and a contusion on the inner lower lip, which is a possible sign of seizure activity. And as I mentioned previously, electrolyte testing was conducted, and the electrolyte results were determined, and the results from the expanded panel test yielded that 7 compounds were reported in the femoral blood, type 1, um, which is MDMA, MDA, cocaine, benzoylecgonine, diphenhydram, diphenhydramine, alprazolam, and naloxone. So pictured here, we have table 1 MDMA and MDA postmortem concentrations and ratios by specimen. And this came straight from the journal. Um, and here it just shows each specimen that was tested, MDA or MDMA or MDA levels, and the ratio. So yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Um, so the official cause of death was that it was an accidental death due to MDA intoxication. Suicide was a distinct possibility. There were high levels of MDMA in the gastric content, which indicates that it was ingested. Um, liver and blood concentration. The liver and blood concentrations were substantially higher than the femoral blood, than the concentration in the blood. The low MDA MDMA concentration in the urine suggests that death occurred soon after ingestion. So, um, uh-oh, I don't know what just happened. Um, uh-oh. Um, yes. Oh, and as I mentioned previously, sorry, my laptop just messed up. But as I mentioned previously, the there was an extremely high level of MDMA present in the gastric content, suggesting that the route of administration was ingestion. However, which I found strange, no tablets were found in the stomach, and the formulation in which the MDMA was ingested um, is unknown. So we know that it was ingested. However, the journal states that it could have been a tablet or liquid form or some other form. Um, but something that was unique about this case was that the MDMA postmortem concentration are some of the highest reported. So I thought that was pretty interesting because she was only 29. Um, and so future directions with determining postmortem distribution of MDMA and MDA. Um, so at this very moment, femoral blood remains the preferred sample, and data suggests that, however, data suggests that heart blood concentrations are comparable to femoral blood, and we're learning now that heart blood may be used when deemed necessary. Excuse me. Um, so with that being said, because as I mentioned previously, um, the femoral blood was considered the priority sample, and this is largely due to the size, like your femur area, like that's a large area. So um, you have a wider range of um, like you have a wide variety of tests that you can perform from samples from that area as opposed to um, samples from a area with less blood. So, but yeah, we are learning that heart blood may be used when necessary. Um, and MDMA and MDA, they are commonly known as Molly. Um, MDMA and MDA are the abbreviations for the scientific terms. Um, oh, and just to backtrack, During the autopsy, the um, pulmonary edema, which is excessive fluid in the lungs, 1,300 grams was the combined lung weight. So that was also very interesting. Um, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.